So I remember when I wrote my first book, and I was so excited. I got the book finished. I'm like, yay, I'm done. And some other people in the industry who had been at it a while said, no, you're about a third of the way done, right? Because you still have to promote it and then you have to sell it. And it's the same with NFTs. And I have been marketing and helping companies market their products since explaining MPEG 1 back in the 90s when I was 4. And I've learned a lot about how to do it and also how marketing has changed. So, why do you want to promote your NFT? Well, first of all, obviously, you need to promote it in order to sell it. But also, it helps the perception that you are serious in the space. And when you're perceived as somebody who's a serious player, the value of your NFT tends to go up. And then you want to be able to sell more than one NFT. So if you get to be known in the space, you're more likely to do that. So I have a list of ways, and there's a lot of them, and I'm just gonna start in. And anytime one of you guys want to hop in and add your 2 cents, that's great. And anytime you have a question, don't wait, just raise your hand and ask. So, one thing you want to know is you want your drop to have a separate page, either a standalone page or a separate page on your website. And that's sort of beginning work that you want to do. And also, before you start your NFT, before you build your NFT, it's a great idea to think about how promotion can be built into your NFT. Can you collaborate with somebody who's very popular? Do you want to work with a charity and donate part of your proceeds with them and get them to help promote you? So there are some ways to think about that sort of before you start. But there's lots of other ways. So if your NFT is already built, don't despair. There's lots of other choices, right? Um, you One of the good things to do is to collect other NFTs and make friends in the NFT space. If you collect an NFT, promote like crazy on your traditional social media channels, especially Twitter seems to be a big place, and Discord and Telegram. So, those are some places that you want to talk a lot about the NFTs that you purchased. So you can use your social media channels, Instagram, Twitter, especially the NFT feed, and follow experts that know what's going on. This is going to help you be known in the space. And one of the great tools you can use in that space, as well as in spaces like this, is use the Q&A, but use it wisely, right? Don't come in and say, "Hi, I have a question," and then go into a 30-minute presentation about your product. That's not what this is about. 5 or 10 seconds about your product, and then ask a relevant question that's smart. And that's a good way to also be known in these spaces. So use the Q&A, but use it in a smart way. If there are other groups, social media groups, about the subject of your NFT, whether it's avatars or sports or games, those are places also to follow and start getting known. Then another thing you can do is organize a giveaway. And this is a great tool for getting social media traction. So, usually, when people do giveaways, in order to be entered in the contest for the giveaway, you need to follow them on Instagram or follow them on Twitter or buy in to some social media channel. And I'd love to ask the group if any of you have experience with giveaways and can talk about how those work and what works well and what doesn't work so well.
I would love to. This goes way, way back to the launch of Hay House, and the her Your Destiny Switch was the book. And book launches back then, a new thing was where if you bought the book, you then submitted your Amazon receipt number, your transaction number, and then you could claim 400 bonuses. So people would give away all of these different bonuses. Well, I didn't realize it at the time when I first bought this book. And then I bought like 50 of them or 100 of them or whatever it was so that I could be in this particular masterclass event thing that she was doing. Um, and then I ended up on 400 people's email lists. So my inbox got flooded. Number one, when you do participate in giveaways, don't use your primary inbox. Just a little note to the wise. Um, but it does work really, really well, especially if you find people who are they have the same audience but not the same product. So they're cooperative. We like to call it co-opetition instead of competition. And there's a lot of people that are willing to do these things. My number one thing would be don't give away an iPad or a purse. This happens all the time on Instagram. And what you end up doing, they do these huge giveaways with some, major blue checked person, and then people pay $5,000 to be a part of a giveaway, and then they get 100,000 followers in 2 days, and then like 3 weeks later they're back down to like 2,000 followers because they gave away a purse and nobody cares. So make it something relevant so you are actually attracting the right audience. For NFTs, it's awesome. There are a whole bunch of tools that you can use. Matter of fact, if you want to do the giveaway, in order for them to get to whatever it is, some live event or whatever, then you can use a tool that's called POAP, Proof of Attendance Protocol, and you can airdrop commemorative NFTs that say, not only do they participate in this giveaway, to get to the actual giveaway piece, they had to attend this event, and you could do this whole live event that's super cool and then drop them a POAP. You can also airdrop based on when you collect. I have a huge airdrop list from a couple of my launches. And so I have their name, their first name, last name, email address, zip code, phone number, and their wallet address. So if I wanted to just surprise these people, I could just airdrop an NFT into their ERC20 wallet. What's really fun for everyone who's been in for a little bit and you don't really know uh, if you've been airdropped, Zerion, Zerion, is a great wallet. You go there and then you can look. There's a way it shows you what's in your wallet. And I had ended up with probably 30 tokens I've never heard of. Now, the grand total of what was airdropped to me in 2016, 2017, around there, when airdrops and ICOs were big, nowadays is only worth maybe $20, but it's like 30 tokens. Like, you never even know when people airdrop you unless you add that token to your wallet. So that's pretty interesting. But you can airdrop NFTs as well. So these launch strategies that Jeanette was talking about, they're just, I hope you took notes because she literally just mapped it all out for you. And that's it.
I just want to ask a quick question on the airdrops, and maybe you guys have some answers on this. Maybe Scott does. It seems to me, I was in another Clubhouse discussion yesterday that some of the people are getting hacked because they received quote unquote airdrops into their wallets. How do you prevent that from happening, and or what are some good things to do, Scott, from the security purpose not to have that happen?
Well, I think what's important about the question is to purposefully misuse the word. So when people hear airdrop, what often happens is they get asked, "Hey, give me your wallet so that I can send you a cool thing." And they maybe start with, "Hey, give me the public address." But then they follow up with, "Hey, there was a problem. Do you think you can give me the private key so I can make sure you get this great reward?" And a lot of what I've seen in terms of, abusing people is the result of traditional security practices, traditional bad security practices, where the people aren't paying attention. They get phished. They go to a special website to sign up to get the limited edition, and it, prompts them with a fake MetaMask pop-up that says, "Oh, just type in your private key one more time. There was an error logging into your MetaMask." So these things we see time and time again. They're bad, what we call OPSEC, bad operational security practice. If you don't have your own personal good security practice and you believe too greatly that you're about to get some amazing thing for free, then you're probably getting scammed. And in this market, maybe more than any, that whole traditional thing, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And if somebody's about to airdrop you some limited edition NFT that somebody else is selling for $1 million, probably isn't what is about to happen. And, Adrian, I know you even play day in and day out more than I do, and I'm sure you've seen some people fall victim to this.
Oh, they absolutely have. I created, and speaking of MetaMask, I lost my MetaMask login for 48 hours for my company MetaMask that has all my company tokens in it, like 1 billion tokens. So you can imagine the cray that I was going through, because these were tokens minted in 2017. They're already, authorized and validated and verified on Etherscan. It's not like I can just go mint some more. And so I created the crypto wallet security worksheet so everybody would not do that. But I'm going to go add your phishing example to that with your permission, because I didn't have that in there. But yeah, I give that away to newbies because they keep losing their stuff. But I would always say for airdrops and things like that, do exactly what you do with your email. I have a porn spam inbox now. So anytime somebody they're like, send this, and it's not, because again, my Destiny switch, I now get 4,000 emails a day. I'm still trying to get rid of those into other things from my main thing. Don't use your real main where you hold your stuff. Have like your giveaway. It's super easy to open a free wallet. So it doesn't matter how many you have, and you can open another one on MetaMask. It doesn't matter. But I would say open it somewhere else, not on MetaMask.
There's probably something I should do to along with this, to support the initiative, because I believe in it, to stop people from being their own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Because you can't underestimate people is kind of the rule you have to follow here. And there was this person that I follow on Twitter. I don't even know who it is, but he lost 3 or 4 apes recently because he fell victim to a scam. Like it was 2 in the morning.
Girl? Was it a pretty girl with big boobs and a low-cut shirt? Because let me tell you, I can get just about anything like that.
I don't think it was that. I think it was, hey, we're doing a limited edition giveaway. You need to stake your NFTs. If you stake them, simply by transferring them to this smart contract.
Right. But then
so he did that. He went to the website where it said, sorry, here's a MetaMask pop-up. Type in your private keys. There's been a problem transferring. So he did that. All his crypto is gone in 45 seconds, including all his NFTs and his apes. So he came up and he said, this is my fault. Here's what happened. I am now millions of dollars poorer. But that's tricky. I have a really big problem with this concept as an InfoSec person. I don't think you should work your butt off for 10 years and then be broke in 30 seconds. Like, I think that's unfair. I don't think. Yes, I don't think. Not your crypto, not your wallet, or whatever the saying is. I don't believe in this personally.
Not your keys.
Now, because humans don't know how to keep track of their keys.
Humans don't. And this is why legitimate third-party custodial helpers are necessary. Imagine if you had a MetaMask that was a biometric lock, and it really had to be you, right? Yep. And this is a conversation we had months ago where we were talking about the authority, the agency. I own this wallet, not I know the keys to this wallet, but I own and have the rights to this wallet. That's different, right? That's why I was working on this ID piece, because once you have the ID piece, and even that has a custodial piece where you can go, look, I'm a dipshit. I lost everything. Here's my driver's license. Here's my face. Here's my mother's maiden name. Here's my birth certificate. It really is me. Give me back my shit. And they will. Because you're right. You have to design for the lowest common denominator. You have to design for stupid.
There's an old concept that's not used very much anymore called responsibility. You are going to be responsible for your own stuff, or you're not. And if you're not responsible for your own stuff, then good luck to you, right? And I think there's an educational, a huge educational piece there. There's an attention span piece. There's a lot of pieces to this, but
no, it's the victimhood piece in society that they have spent the last 20 years instilling so that the government can take care of the people, and the people no longer have sovereignty or personal responsibility
Exactly.
or self-reliance, because that goes against they needed to pass that hurdle. Everyone has to be a victim. No one can be responsible for their actions, and somebody else always has to be to blame in order for them to architect and execute what's coming next.
So
So
to
Well, Bitcoin
crypto
bring
is
fits
that
into
the
back
this,
to the
right?
room, though.
antithesis of that, which is why
Bitcoin
I've tried to
fixes
drive
it.
it forward.
Yeah, I mean that was. I think we can't really make the argument for custodianship. The argument that we have to make is we have to just learn to be responsible and have proper OPSEC. And there's, I mean, I have a friend who just got scammed. I wanted to also mention the issue of verifying when you deal with an entity that that entity actually owns the domain that you think you're going to. Because if you go to fpmarkets.com, you will find an Australian company that does all kinds of financial stuff, right? They're a legitimate company, but there's a different domain, first something dash markets.com. It looks identical, right? And well, they're a scam based out of Iceland, I believe. And so, if you get an email from someone, how do you know that that's actually the company that says it is, right? I'm not even sure myself. Um, like if I got something like that, it would maybe never even occur to me that there's actually a different domain called FP Markets that's a legitimate one. So you just have to be like super careful. You have to do due diligence.
I think there needs to be a Google plugin for that. And you would think, because Google doesn't, they do a decent job, but they wouldn't catch that one probably. But when I was doing PPE, that was a huge deal. You had a whole bunch of people who would DBA their company to match the name of a real 3M authorized reseller. And then in a couple of instances, they took over the domain name of an old company that was like defunct for 3 years, took that name, got their domain name, re-put up their old website that they pulled off of the Wayback Machine. So it looked like it was legit. So when you look up the company, it's got, 40 years of history and all this other stuff. But, I had to go digging and I'm like, it's COVID. That school is shut down. This was in an accelerator. Oh, look, this was 5 years ago in that accelerator. They're not still in that building. Uh, and
This is not a blockchain problem, really. I mean, I remember
no,
back
it's a
in the
right. Yeah, it's an
And,
everyday problem.
and
in the
so
80s, Sony had products returned to them, and they looked at them and they said, well, that's kind of interesting because these products have our name on them and they're constructed more or less like ours, but they're clearly not ours, right? And they took some years to do the investigation and discover that there were entire networks of Chinese people who would print Sony business cards with phone numbers and offices, and their offices said Sony, and they were basically going to all the retailers as Sony representatives and selling them products that wasn't actually Sony, right? So again, buyer beware. The world is just filled with scammers. If there's a potential for someone to take you, they will, and you just have to. Oh yeah, we have a different expression. Caveat emptor,
yeah.
right?
I
So to come back to what Jeanette was saying originally here, right? When you're doing this, the things we can learn from here is, you have to be aware that people will fake your stuff. You have to be aware that if you become important, people will try and fish your stuff. You have to be aware if somebody's going to knock your thing off. If you have the $5 Wix site, somebody else can create a clone of your $5 Wix site in about 5 minutes. And so these things are really important to be aware of, because you can't launch a business on the back of your idea without knowing that this exists. I think, the whole at least be aware of what you're up against part of this is really important.
well, I think that sort of leads me into my next tip, which is if you're going to promote your NFT, one of the ways that this is commonly done is with influencers and people who are big in the space. And they typically expect to be paid in crypto or NFTs. And I wonder if you guys could talk a little bit about the process of approaching an influencer and how that kind of transaction would take place, and give our listeners a little help in that regard.
Well, as an influencer, I'll tell you what I expect, what I rarely see, and the only way it works. So, before you approach an influencer, please make sure that your tech is set up correctly. If you're going to pay them in crypto, make sure that you already have the smart contract done, that it's already integrated into the website, that all I have to do is go to the website, click affiliates, put in my name, put in my email address, put in my ERC20 wallet, click, get my special link, and have a dashboard where I can see every single link person that has gone there and has signed up. I'm going to test that link to make sure that my tracking actually functions and that the rewards are actually calculated. And then I'll do some promotions, maybe after I've already approved the product, because you need to make sure that your white paper is solid, that your entire team is claiming their positions on LinkedIn. We're going to do a real influencer who actually cares about not going to jail is going to do due diligence first. They're going to make sure the project's a real project, not vaporware. But once that's established that it's a good product and we are saying yes, make sure your tech to get that link is there and super easy, because if it's not already done and you haven't thought of it, it's an immediate no.
And
If you make it too hard, it's an immediate no.
do not talk a minute about the difference between an influencer and a promoter, please.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, an influencer is somebody like Floyd Mayweather, who got in trouble for promoting an illegal, unregistered security in 2017. Why? Because he didn't do due diligence. Influencers tend to not know due diligence or what they're doing. Think of Kim Kardashian promoting a tire, right? Does she know anything about tread and tires and winter versus summer? No, probably not. Actually, I'm giving her less credit than she's probably due. She's actually a lot smarter than people think. Um, but but it's not her zone of genius, right? A promoter, there is a group of whales that I'm a part of that they move in a pack, so they can make any launch huge, and you get the promoters on board. This is where you need to have a two-tier affiliate system. If you have more than a two-tier affiliate system in the United States, that is a multi-level marketing company, and you have to be registered and licensed. And trust me, you're not going to get that anytime soon. It takes a long time and it's very complicated and expensive, so you want to limit and make sure you're only using a two-tier system. So that is where somebody like me goes, oh, I know a bunch of people who have huge crypto lists. And I bring those people in. The people who actually go send out the links and get the sales, they make a certain percentage. I, as the super affiliate, would make an override on all of those people that I brought in. That's how you actually crush your affiliate and influencer campaigns. Promoters tend to send out links. A lot of them will actually kind of do a hybrid promoter influencer where they will create Facebook groups with all of the people that they have recruited to then send out the links, their sub super affiliate people. And they'll create promotions, they'll create Telegram groups, they'll push, and they're like an evangelist. Influencers are usually people who have YouTube channels or Instagram channels where they're doing video. They'll bring you on to do an interview. I have a bunch of these people who are typical traditional influencers who talk about crypto, who will then promote, not necessarily through an affiliate link. With an influencer, someone who has that FaceTime, you're more than likely going to have a fee. And with a promoter, you're more than likely going to pay on performance. Was that helpful?
Very. Adrian, in terms of the affiliate marketing software, does that have to be NFT specific, or can it be the typical WordPress plugins or other kinds of affiliate software?
Well, it depends on how you're going to pay them, right?
Okay.
If you're going to pay them with cash, and if you're going to sell your NFTs on your own website for cash, then your typical WP affiliate works just great. If you're going to sell it with crypto or on a specialized token contract where everybody's dashboard gets updated, but nobody gets paid until the very end, that's more traditional. We did that with a major launch. We raised $50 million in like 3 days, and then, but it was a 30-day payout. And by day 27, the US government had basically said, no, you have to refund all of the Americans. And my $1 million in commissions was from Americans. So all of that got reversed. It sucked. Um, that is a caveat, mTOR, for anyone doing a launch. Make sure you have SEC compliant legal opinions that say that this is a utility that can be marketed in the United States, or that you're doing a Reg CF, that you have a controller, that you have all of that paperwork. If you're going to run it on your own website, you want to make sure everything is compliant and that you have a lawyer that says yes. Otherwise, you're screwed.
Scott,
So
I'm sensing you're itching to get in here.
no, well, I just want to just ask, what's the poor person version of this? I don't have $1 million. I don't know a bunch of influencers outside of you. I certainly don't know Kim Kardashian. Like, how do I do this when I don't know anybody?
Okay, so to launch an NFT when you don't know anybody is harder. To launch a token when you don't know anybody is much easier. There are groups. There are actually NFT groups on Facebook. I'm in like 100 of them, where artists can promote their work. And if you see something you like, awesome, then you can promote them. If you offer all of those other artists an affiliate commission to help you with your launch, and you're paying them in Ether, you're going to get thousands of people to sign up, right? Um, and that's a pretty straightforward thing, right? If you're selling your NFTs for Ether, and depending on whatever it is that it sells for, whoever referred that buyer is going to get a cut of that. That's pretty easy. And there are WordPress plugins that will do that. They just cost a few $100s. Now you want poor man version, then you do the single affiliate, not super affiliate 2-tier, single layer. You use WP affiliate, the free version, and you do it that way. And then you start making friends. Crypto Twitter is your friend. And then you can search for, if you look at every other major launch that's similar to yours, like say I'm doing one right now for Crypto Vixens. We're drawing our foxes, and it's not Crypto Punks, and it's not Bored Apes. It's not pixel art, right? It's more Crypto Kitties. So I'm going to go look for everyone that's ever done any affiliate promotion for Crypto Kitties or some kind of breeding engine generative art, because we're doing that for our nonprofit. And then I'm going to start recruiting them. So if you don't have money, you have time. Remember, there's 3 things you always need to be successful. You need time, you need money, or what they say you're buying, cheap, faster, good,
Faster,
right?
better, cheaper.
Yeah, faster, better, cheaper, pick 2. So if you don't have money, then you're going to have to go for higher quality. Make sure your copy is really good. There's no typos. You're not going to rush to market, and you're going to take your time recruiting the people, and you're going to give yourself probably a 90 to 120 day launch window instead of your typical. I tell everyone, if you have a budget, you still need 60 days. They're coming to me. They're like, we're launching in 17 days. I'm like, good luck with that. Have fun with that, because I am not working 20 hours a day.
Yeah, that is a tip for sure, is to start earlier than you think with the promotion. That it's something that takes time. And I think there's some traditional marketing elements to this as well. You need a great teaser, you need a great countdown campaign, you
Yep.
need great visuals, you need great copy.
And
And these are things that there are probably some really brilliant PR and marketing people out there
on
who work
Fiverr,
for
on Fiverr, I
on
am telling,
Fiverr.
if we are going to talk about I have no money, you
Yeah,
can literally stand on the corner and beg and get $20 and cover your costs,
right,
right? You,
right.
you you don't have to have money. You have to have smarts, time, and patience.
Right. So some of the other places that you can go is there are free listing places like NFT Calendar. That's nftcalendar.io, and you can ask to be part of newsletters. You
Okay,
can.
there's a cheap, cheap option. I can't believe I'm giving this away before I'm using it myself, but I did it for another client, and it was like gangbusters. When we were talking about giveaways, and it's really hard to like find partners for giveaways, it's really easy. If you pay the $35, there is an account, an NFT account on Instagram with millions of followers. You basically secure your quote unquote advertising. You put together a giveaway, and then you recruit other people to participate in your giveaway because it's going out to millions of Instagram NFT buyers, which is true. You've just paid $35 for it, and they're not taking a cut. And then you recruit the other people based on that information. And then you run the giveaway that will drive more people to register for you. There are plugins that you can use. I'm trying to remember. It's like Rafflecopter, or like if you look up old school internet marketing ones, we used to use them in the ICOs where you had to follow us on Twitter, retweet, and opt in order to be qualified for the raffle, right? For the giveaway. So you do the same kind of thing where it's like they've got to tag 5 people, they've got to they've got to share it to their story, all of these things, and it's not difficult, and you can generate a massive following pretty darn quickly. And I would actually do that a couple times, maybe before you'd launch the actual big thing. Make another NFT that you're going to actually give away. And I'm probably going to give away one of my early ones. Do you know how much I sold my first NFT for? Literally my Genesis NFT, and it's me screaming, and it's the outrage economy. It's actually really quite good. But I didn't know what I was doing, and it was on Wax, and everything on Wax was selling for like 25 cents to $5. I think it was $2.03.
Wow.
And my quote unquote Genesis piece from Revolution 2000, which is the collection that I have on Foundation that I have to put the rest of the collection up, has not sold, and that's a half an ETH. So it's yeah, whoever bought my first one when these ones start selling is gonna owe me a thank you card for not putting a reserve on it, because I didn't know what I was doing on Wax. I didn't put a reserve in.
So buy
And
it
I
back
probably
for
have
$5. Double.
oh,
So, quick
I
question for
should. Thank
I
you.
want to bring Carlos into this discussion because he talked quite a bit about the Discord communities that were formed surrounding NFTs. You want to kind of briefly update us on that, and maybe we can discuss how that developed over the last.
Yeah, no problem. So I think one of the key things that was mentioned here in the strategy is going to be collecting airdrops. Specifically on Discord, you can actually jump in communities prior to these airdrops and ultimately get them and keep prices. The goal.
We lost you.
But that Discord is a great thing. That's the POAPs, the
Some sort of
proof of
buzz.
attendance. That Carlos, you just brought up a great point with the Discord, because there is a POAP bot. So literally during a Discord event, from this moment to this moment, while that bot is active, you type in the secret code word that they've just told you, but you have to be there in the room to know what the code word is, and then boom, you get your airdrop. So I forgot about this.
Yeah. No, definitely. And, I see some of the most successful NFT launches being done there now, which is really interesting to me. Twitter is definitely the other one. But, one of the key things that I like to do is I just go in there and I look at the chat rooms and I say, okay, well, there's, 250 followers specifically in this chat room, and there's going to be a drop tomorrow. And basically, I start to gauge how many comments. It's much less tech savvy than what other people are doing, obviously, with metrics and monitoring it. But visually, it's just very easy to see. And you can definitely see the different communications that are going on. You can also look for things that I like to call bursts. And what I call a burst is basically a lot of communications at once. So if you see a lot of bursts of communication, that normally means there's going to be some sort of movement. They also talk about floor action, which is always nice. You always want to be looking for the floor. And what I mean by the floor is people will call out different things like, we're going to move the floor. And by moving the floor, what people are doing is they're going out and they're buying these NFTs very quickly, all of a sudden, and they're bringing the prices up. And basically, they're just going right across and monopolizing different NFTs. So I'm really excited to see what continues to happen in the space. As you guys probably saw, CryptoPunk sold with Visa, which was huge. And now there's a huge influx of people buying like crazy today.
I also wanted to talk a little bit about traditional PR tools like Help a Reporter Out and talking in I think there's a lot of space right now, a lot of ink being spilled on NFTs. And if you can be featured as an NFT, that's not a bad thing. If you can get on Haro and you find out, that's Help a Reporter Out, which is a free site for people to talk with reporters who are asking questions. And there are tons of reporters asking questions about NFTs right now. If you can be the featured expert and you can list your NFT, sometimes you get major ink that way, and it's completely free. Now, if you're going to do that, it's important that you do it sensibly and answer the question that's asked. But there are channels for traditional PR like that. Other places are different. If you're going to be in these places where they discuss drops, a lot of times these lists will have featured drops, the 5 featured drops this week. And if you can make friends and make connections to become one of those featured drops, that's also a huge boost for you. I wonder if you guys could talk a little bit about those tools.
The featured drops are usually a paid advertising upgrade. And depending on how much they're charging, it may or may not be worth it. Like I was saying, the Instagram account that's $35, they just don't know what they have. They really don't. And they don't know what they can do, I don't think, because I've looked at some analytics, from the front end. Don't have access to the back, but on a couple of their featured drops that I know were $35 because I'm planning one, and it was like 200,000 people out of a million. Now the art was great, that helps. Um, but you definitely, I mean, here's the thing. I'm in this industry and I don't notice any of those calendars. I don't see any of those things. I notice hashtags on Twitter and things like that. Like if it comes across my plate. So I'm not sure about all the calendars. I imagine it's exactly like when you launch an ICO, you kind of want to be everywhere because you never know where your buyer's going to be. But with one of our launches in 2017, it was one Asian blogger and a $600 paid blog post that generated probably $20 million. So for me, it's you got to be strategic. Like, who are these people and who is their audience, and then focus there. Make sure it's the same audience.
And I think something to bring up, just to dovetail off that specifically, it's just really interesting to see right now the enterprise players start to jump specifically into the space. I think that there's going to be a lot of different tools that are going to be utilized specifically to acquire a lot of different assets very quickly within the space, just because they are tracking metrics, they are looking at analytics, they are seeing these numbers that you're mentioning, and they're saying, okay, well, if a social media feed is saying XYZ and it's basically getting a return on investment off $35, how can we ultimately optimize and look at this? And a lot of times these are being pointed out by web scrapers and crawlers that are looking all the time, built via AI, for the best deals and ultimately opportunities to invest in.
And that's what the hedge funds do. They literally look at every single time there's a new DeFi pool opening. They jump in, they fill up the first thing, because the way that it kind of works is these DeFi pools really only last about 24 months, and the earlier you're in, the higher the rewards are. And that's that they're using those web scrapers for exactly that.
Couldn't agree more. I think that a lot of this is becoming much more technical. So I think that that's a good point to bring up. A lot of this is not just being people driven now. These algorithms have been bumped up to the point where the metrics where basically decision makers are being notified and they need to make moves before they lose out on capital.
I also want to take a moment now and we've been talking for a while, and see if any of our audience members want to ask a question. I wanted to remind you, you don't have to wait. Just raise your hand and we are happy to speak with you. Oh, here comes Tony. Okay. Tony's a speaker. All right, go ahead, Tony.
This might be a very newbie question, so I
This is
apologize in advance.
this
But
is the place for newbie
cool,
questions. There's no question too newbie.
very cool. So, and this is respectfully, if I'm trying to understand, if there's a piece of art that an NFT that is let's just say it's the monkey ones. I've noticed someone put like a McDonald's hat on it and then sold it. And I'm wondering if that's the same artist or if it's like a different artist just manipulating it slightly and then minting it themselves.
You-
So my question is this, like, can I, what's stopping me from minting someone else's artwork?
Okay, what's stopping you? Jail is always a really good, uh, what do you call it?
A deterrent?
A deterrent. That I was literally, um, yes, it's a good deterrent. So you're still going to face all of the legal ramifications for copyright infringement, trademark infringement. For celebrities, they have their rights of publicity, so you have to make sure you're falling under fair use. So when it comes to things like the punks or the apes, so those were all generated algorithmically through a generative art algorithm that was built into a smart contract, and those were minted under a particular smart contract. So you would go, if it's on the Ethereum chain, you would go to Etherscan and you would find, an official one on OpenSea or wherever, and you'd look at the contract number, then you'd look at that on Etherscan and you'd see the contract number, and then you have to match up, was this piece of art that you're trying to buy or you're looking at with the McDonald's hat one of the iterative versions of the actual real project, which is only 10,000, or is this somebody else just taking somebody else's CryptoPunk, adding a few features to it, and then saying, I have a CryptoPunk, and then minting it? So you can match. Most of these projects will all be verified. So they'll have a logo, they'll have a name, it'll have the official website, all their social media. So it will be official and verified. If the contract that you are every single NFT has a contract listed on it in the listing. If you click on that and that's not a verified contract, then it's a fake. But these are like the high level things that really, I mean, I think OpenSea needs to put in an official thing. Like if they're verified on Etherscan, then they get a blue check. That we need to start doing that.
I think this is a really interesting topic, especially right now, because of the fact that, yes, the apes are definitely being reminted. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
And right now, there is definitely some major issues in the, I guess, I wouldn't say leadership, but ultimately there's some disgruntled top apes, let's put it that way. And the rationale being behind that is perfect example is there was a comic book that just launched, and honestly, it's pretty awesome. And it's called Ape. I'm drawing blank on Board Ape something, and I'm drawing blank, but it's not the actual apes themselves. They clearly put it on the website, but it's on OpenSea. I recommend everybody kind of check it out. It's kind of a next level comic book. But that being said, there is a lot of conversations going on in the background about this, so it's going to be a very interesting topic moving forward.
Yeah, the ape thing that I was talking about wasn't the original ape. It was like someone did a spin-off of the exact ape that they did. They just put they blurred it out a little bit and then put a McDonald's hat on it and made a whole new spin-off of the ape. And it was someone else that did it. And I'm like, it came off as like sort of
Well, yeah,
cheap. And I don't think
it,
they're doing as well, obviously, as like the originals, but like,
so it's a forgery.
yeah.
And on top of that, it's derivative. So unless their own ape included the derivative rights, which means to put it on T-shirts and hats and do whatever they like with it, if it didn't convey copyright, trademark, intellectual property rights for derivative works, then it's illegal and they could get sued. So a lot of people think, oh, well, it's crypto, it's anonymous. I'll just make this new account. I'll rip this thing off. I'll put this up here. I'll sell it. It'll go to my crypto wallet. Nobody will know. Yeah, people don't understand exactly the point of blockchain is it's an unfuckwithable ledger of what actually happened. So when you commit fraud on the blockchain, you've literally just sealed your fate, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That
And another good point to bring out is the resale. So perfect example is later on down the line, when eventually blockchain is much more integrated, people will look at it and know it's a forgery immediately, just so that we're kind of aware of how this would work. Another thing that I want to point out is if you do want to see a concrete example of a derivative of an ape, you can actually go to Superworld. Superworld actually has apes and has some derivatives there.
I think there's really two questions here, and Tony, I think the one question you were asking is what's stopping you from doing that, but I think the flip question is, um, how do you prevent yourself from buying one of these forgeries? And I think that is something that buyers need to be careful about if what they're buying is genuine. It's too bad Scott dropped off because that would be right in his wheelhouse. But did that answer your question,
Yeah,
Tony?
I was gonna say thank you so much for like clearing that up. I will come back with another question. Thank you.
Thanks.
Maybe I can add a philosophical counterpoint. Um,
Please do, Eric.
all, all art and all creation is transformative in nature. It draws from existing things, and the boundaries between what is uh, a counterfeit and what is just a new work is, are not really very clear. I mean, if I take an existing thing and just put a McDonald's hat on it, is it a plagiarization? Is it, is there's a lot of argumentation that goes on within the courts about where to draw the lines, and different courts will draw the lines in different places. And I think we need to all just move on with it, right? The reality is that the concept of intellectual property is a stupidity. I mean, we want to take attributes that are applicable to physical property and apply them to things that are non-physical. And in doing so, we just create a morass of legislation and lawsuits and conflicts, because the two things are not the same, right? An idea, the property is called, gosh, this professor Lawrence Lessig, he speaks a lot about this in a book called the Future of Ideas.
Oh, that book
Uh,
is magnificent.
yeah. So I forgot the term that he uses right now, but basically the concept is, if I have a cup of coffee in my hand, I can give it to someone, but then they'll have it and I can't have it too. We can't both have it, right? But if I'm smoking a cigarette, I can share my fire with him, and then we can both have the fire, right? So fire, it's contentiousness, right? So fire is non-contentious. Ideas are non-contentious. Photographs on the internet, most everything on the internet except for Bitcoin and these blockchain technologies are non-contentious. The great discovery of Satoshi Nakamoto was actually how to create contentiousness on the internet, right? So that if I give you a Bitcoin, we don't both have it. It guarantees that fact. So the art world's like much like the legal world, and like many other parts of our world, are still far behind. They're still contending with issues that they created themselves, are really non-issues, and we need to just move on. That's my view on it.
Thank you, Eric. Mariana, we are nearly out of time. Do you want to wrap us up for today?
Yeah, I think we should wrap it up. I feel that this was an extremely valuable discussion for me, at least, and I hope for all of our speakers and all of our listeners today in the clubhouse. Thank you for asking tough questions or any questions. We love to know kind of what's going on in the community and what kind of things, what kind of programs we need to bring about in terms of educating and growing the ecosystem in a positive way and avoiding some of these potential pitfalls. So I want to thank all of our speakers. I want to thank Jeanette for really kind of having an outline on how to market NFTs. I don't know if we've gone through your whole outline, Jeanette. We may have to do this next week.
Yeah, we hit a lot of the points, but I think I'll be putting together a white paper too with some of this information.
Yeah, so you should definitely do that, and you'll have access to it from our site, from Infiom.com. We're also going to be taping and then distributing some of these conversations. So If you need to go back to something that Adrian said and or you want to contact her, but you want to clarify as to what was said, you will have access to that as well. Right now we have our YouTube channel has all of our Zoom recordings, but I think we're going to add the Clubhouse recordings as well. So thanks everyone. Really appreciate everyone's participation. And Jeanette, what are we going to discuss next time? Think we're going to discuss the rest of her NFT outline. So look forward to seeing you all tomorrow at 1:30 when we talk about creation of ventures. So this is more of a project funding and project management in the space, this event, marketing, distribution, ways to aggregate your community as you put some of these projects out. The event tomorrow is if you are starting a company and or you have a thriving business and you want to add NFTs, DeFi, DAOs concepts to them, that's the event for you. So see you tomorrow at 1:30 at the Clubhouse.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. See you next time. Or hear you next time.